Arjun, I didn't mean to do it. I just wanted him to stop. Arjun, I just wanted him to stop hurting her. Rakesh, Meera. Where are you, you worthless woman? Rakesh, you think you can hide from me? You think you can protect her? You're just a weak little boy. Rakesh, you're just like me, boy. You'll never be anything more. Meera, it's okay, beta. It's over now. It's over. Based on a story of survival, sacrifice, and a secret that could destroy them both. The courtroom was silent, save for the faint hum of the air conditioner and the occasional shuffle of papers. All eyes were on the little boy sitting in the witness stand. His tiny hands gripped the edges of the wooden chair, his knuckles white. He was no more than 6 years old, with wide, fearful eyes that darted around the room like a trapped animal. His name was Arjun, and he was the only witness to the murder of his father, Rakesh Malhotra. At the defendant's table sat his mother, Meera Malhotra. Her face was pale, her hands trembling as she clutched a tissue. She was accused of killing her husband in a fit of rage after years of enduring his abuse. The prosecution had painted her as a cold-blooded killer, while the defense argued she was a victim fighting for survival. But the truth, it seemed, lay with the boy who refused to speak. The prosecutor, a sharp-tongued woman named Ms. Kapoor, stood and approached the witness stand. She knelt to Arjun's eye level, her voice soft but firm. Arjun, sweetheart, do you remember what happened that night? She asked. The boy stared at her, his lips pressed tightly together. He didn't nod or shake his head. He simply sat there, frozen. Ms. Kapoor sighed and turned to the jury. Your Honor, the witness has been uncooperative since the beginning. However, the evidence speaks for itself. Meera Malhotra had motive, opportunity, and no alibi. Her husband's blood was found on her clothes, and the murder weapon, a kitchen knife, had her fingerprints on it. The child's silence only confirms the trauma he endured at the hands of his mother. The jury exchanged glances, their faces grim. Meera's lawyer, Mr. Desai, rose to his feet. He was a seasoned attorney known for his ability to sway juries with emotional appeals. Your Honor, if I may, he began, Arjun's silence is not proof of guilt. This child has been through unimaginable trauma. His father was a violent man, and his mother was his only protector. Is it any wonder he's too scared to speak? He walked over to the witness stand and crouched beside Arjun. Arjun, I know you're scared. Arjun's lower lip quivered, but he remained silent. Mr. Desai sighed and turned to the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, this boy's silence is a cry for help. He's not protecting his mother, he's terrified of reliving the nightmare. The prosecution wants you to believe Meera is a monster, but the real monster was Rakesh Malhotra. The night of the murder, the courtroom listened intently as the details of the case unfolded. Rakesh Malhotra was a wealthy businessman with a temper that could ignite at the slightest provocation. Neighbors often heard shouting and crashing sounds from the Malhotra residence. Meera had filed multiple police complaints against him, but each time, she withdrew them, fearing retaliation. On the night of the murder, Rakesh had come home drunk, as he often did. Witnesses testified that they heard him yelling at Meera, followed by the sound of breaking glass. Then, there was silence. The next morning, Rakesh was found dead in the kitchen, a knife buried in his chest. Meera was arrested at the scene, her hands covered in blood. As the trial progressed, the jury grew increasingly divided. Some believed Meera was a victim who had finally snapped, while others saw her as a calculating killer. Then, on the final day of the trial, something unexpected happened. Mr. Desai called Arjun back to the stand. This time, he brought a child psychologist with him. Your Honor, with the court's permission, I'd like to try one last time to get through to Arjun, he said. The judge nodded. Proceed. The psychologist, Dr. Sharma, sat beside Arjun and spoke to him in a gentle, reassuring tone. Arjun, I know you're scared. But sometimes, when we're too scared to talk, we can use other ways to tell our story. would you like to draw what happened that night? She handed him a piece of paper and a box of crayons. For a moment, Arjun just stared at the crayons. Then, slowly, he picked up a red one and began to draw. The courtroom watched in silence as the little boy's hand moved across the pap. Ms. Kapoor leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. Your Honor, this proves nothing. The child could have been influenced by his mother or her lawyer. But Dr. Sharma wasn't finished. She pointed to the figure holding the knife. Arjun, can you tell me who this is? Arjun's hand trembled as he picked up a black crayon and scribbled something above the figure's head. The room held its breath as Dr. Sharma held up the drawing for everyone to see. Above the figure with the knife, Arjun had written a single word, Papa. The courtroom erupted in gasps and murmurs. Meera burst into tears, her hands covering her face. Mr. Desai turned to the jury, his voice steady but filled with emotion. Ladies and gentlemen, the truth is now clear. Rakesh Malhotra was killed by his own son. This child, who has been silent for so long, was not protecting his mother, he was protecting himself. He acted in self-defense, trying to save his mother from yet another beating. Ms. Kapoor jumped to her feet. Objection, Your Honor. This is pure speculation. There's no evidence to support this claim. But the damage was done. The jury had seen the drawing, and the truth was undeniable. After hours of deliberation, the jury returned with their verdict. We find the defendant, Meera Malhotra, not guilty. The courtroom erupted in cheers and tears. Meera hugged her lawyer, her body shaking with relief, but as the crowd began to disperse, Arjun remained in his seat, staring at the drawing in his hands. Dr. Sharma knelt beside him. Arjun, it's over. You're safe now. The little boy looked up at her, his eyes filled with tears. For the first time since the trial began, he spoke. I didn't mean to hurt him, he whispered. I just wanted him to stop. Meera and Arjun left the courtroom hand in hand, their future uncertain but free from the shadow of Rakesh Malhotra. The case became a landmark in legal history, sparking debates about domestic violence, child witnesses, and the lengths a child will go to protect a loved one. As for Arjun, he never spoke of that night again. But in his silence, he had told a story that no one would ever forget. If you like the story, kindly subscribe my channel for the new latest stories for judge and jury.